It's time to get down to business on TK Business Live, brought to you by the members of the Topeka Independent Business Association. Now, let's join Tara Dimmick, owner and publisher of TK Business Magazine, as we take a look into the business world of Topeka, Kansas.
Hi, welcome to TK Business Live. It is great to be with you this Sunday. And tomorrow is my favorite day, so I hope you have great plans for the 4th of July. To me, it represents the freedom that we have to be entrepreneurs, to be small business owners, to do whatever we want to do. Going back to when somebody would ask us when we were a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? And to have the ability to answer that however we wanted to answer it. That's what the 4th of July means to me. So I hope you have a great day planned, and we've got a great show for you. I have Rick LeJuerrne with me with Flow Capital. He's also a professor over at Washburn University in their entrepreneurship department, and Jay Van Buren, and he is the co-founder and CEO of Membit. So welcome, gentlemen. It's great to have you.
Hello.
Thank you. Great to be here.
And just for full disclosure, Rick is here in studio, and Jay is actually in New York. So we have him by phone. And before we, really get into what is this Membit, we're going to talk a little bit with Rick about Flow Capital. So, Rick, you've been on the show several times. We've gotten to talk about lots of things going on over at Washburn, but we haven't really talked about Flow Capital. So tell me, what is your business, Flow Capital?
Yeah, and it's great to be back, Tara. I always appreciate when I get to come over and talk to you. So we have talked a lot about the entrepreneurship program at Washburn University. I'm an entrepreneur first, though, I'll tell you that. And so in addition to teaching at Washburn, I've always had my own business. And so I do own a company called Flow Capital, and it provides legal and business consulting services to entrepreneurs. So I love entrepreneurs. I really, everything I do revolves around them either starting or growing their business. And so the Flow Capital company is the company that I do multiple things. One of the things that I do is I provide business planning services. So we'll be helping a client work through a business plan, doing financial projections, accessing capital, which is a big deal. I'm a licensed and practicing attorney here in Kansas, so I can provide legal services for entrepreneurs. So that might be setting up the LLC, incorporating, filing your trademark. I do quite a bit of that. Reviewing agreements, lease agreements, so forth. The types of things that entrepreneurs encounter when they're getting started or growing their business. So, but without question, really what I love about Flow Capital and what I do, and the people I get to meet. And so I meet a lot of clients who are doing some interesting things, and without question, Jay Van Buren, who's a client, is someone who's doing that. And so I wanted the opportunity to bring him on the show, have him talk about his company, his entrepreneurial venture, and I think you'll find it interesting. All
right, so Jay, Tell us what this Membit, what is it? What is Membit?
All right. So Membit is an app that's currently just for iPhone, although we'll be making it for Android later. And it is an app that lets you take a photograph and leave that photograph in the place where you took it. So it kind of stays there, floating almost like a magic window into the past for anybody to see who comes back to that place with the app. So I like to say it's a way for you to share the present with the future, or to share the past with the present. And one of the examples that I have for that is that we made a Membit earlier that you can view in downtown Topeka around the corner of 5th and Kansas. You can look up with your phone, and you can, using Membit, you can actually see right there, superimposed over the real world, a photo of a covered wagon train going down the middle of Kansas Avenue. And it just looks like it's right there, like you're just seeing the past right in front of you. And Membit's using a novel form of augmented reality, and it's a patented form of augmented reality that we have that lets it work anywhere, and it lets it work without markers. Basically creates an experience that pretty much is like magic. Every time somebody sees it, whenever I show it to people on the street, they freak out, because it really does feel like you're looking, you're standing there, but you're standing in today, but you're looking at the past. You can also use it to make a picture of yourself, like you could Membit yourself there, and 100 years from now, somebody could come and see you in that spot. So it's a way of also sharing the present with the future. And that's actually one of the uses that a lot of people who are using it right now are putting it to. In some ways, it's almost like a super selfie. So it's a way of marking your presence in a certain space. And that's where I feel like this thing could be really big and will be really big, because the urge to let people know you have been there is one of the deepest, human desires that pretty much everyone has. You want to let people know that, you existed, you were here in this place, and Membit lets you do that in a digital way. There's not really a good digital way to do that right now.
That's fascinating. I'm sitting here thinking about the bathroom wall that has I'm sure that's not what your connotation was necessarily. But
right? I was here.
Here, right? Like,
exactly. No, that's a perfect example. It's kind of a crude one, but it's like it's totally. That is like people do that, and actually, I use this example all the time. That I don't know if you knew this, but the oldest paintings that have ever been found in the world, there are some paintings in a cave in France that are like from 15,000 years ago, and they are handprints. And, you look at those handprints, what is that if not, I was here, and people want to leave that message. And, I've been using Membit myself to take lots of photos of my kids. And, I moved recently from Brooklyn to Queens, and it was a little bit sad in a way that no move from one apartment to another had ever been sad before, because I had all these Membits in that space. There were a bunch of pictures of my kids growing up. I have a now 6-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, and looking at those, it was fun for me in that apartment to look around my apartment and be able to see all these memories of those kids at different points in their life. And moving out of that apartment, I'm not going to see those Membits again. I could go knock on the door and say, "Hey, would you let me come into your apartment?" But probably won't be doing that. So it actually changes the way you look at space. Because suddenly that space is not just space; it's space that's actually filled with memories. And it's what's really exciting about this, and that there's a small group of people right now who are using Membit. There was a bunch of volunteers who created a series of Membits of historic Membits from downtown Topeka, using photographs that we got courtesy of the Kansas State Historical Society. And those people and a few other people around the world are getting a chance to see what it's like to live in a Membit world, and it is really different, and it's something that's exciting, and I can't wait to get everybody a chance to use it.
And I was going to add, Jay, something that I think might be lost on someone who's hearing this, that the app allows you to create the Membit and also view Membits. That's a very important part of it. So it's two-sided, right? You can create the Membit, leave it in the space, and then you can come in after and using the same app view the Membits that have been created.
That's right. So one thing somebody said is it makes the world into a read-write medium.
Wow, it's intense to think about going into a house or moving into that apartment that you lived in. And then to be able to say, I wonder what happened here. Mm-hmm. And to be able to then go on Membit and see.
Absolutely. Some of the photographs that we've got from the Kansas Historical Society are, showing, there's one that I love that my dad loved this one too. It was one that's on the state capitol steps, and there's a bunch of militiamen with their rifles, and it was from, I think it was like 1880 something, when there was such a huge argument between two political parties inside the legislature that they had to call up the militia to stop them from fighting. And so, you can stand there on the steps and see a little piece of Kansas history right there, and it's a way to, it's almost like ghosts, it's like ghosts of the past. And it's profoundly different actually to see them through Membit. It looks like the picture is over there in space floating, and you can move the camera back and forth, and you see, the picture stays put in that spot because it's locked to the place where the image happened. And it really does feel like the image is there in space instead of just being like looking at a picture on your phone. So it's a profoundly different experience, and people really like it, and it's very emotionally engaging. So we think that it would also, part of our business plan, to bring it back to the business aspect of this, is that we're going to have licensed branded channels for specific institutions. So an institution could have a channel, and I was just actually talking to somebody from the University of Kansas about this, and we'll see what happens with that. But what I was pitching them is that, for example, the University of Kansas, where I went to KU. Sorry, K-State fans.
No, I'm just suffering because you didn't go to Washburn.
Yeah,
but it's okay. We'll forgive you.
But well, I was a big trader too, because my mom's family for 3 generations were all K-Staters. So I bet that was intense. I've been thoroughly punished for it, but they got over it now. It's 20 years later, and it's okay now. So, University of Kansas, just to have an example, could have a channel, and whenever people come to the University of Kansas, they could tune in to that channel, so to speak, and see the images of the history of the university that the university wants them to see. So it's essentially, for the brand or for the institution, it's a way to have an institutional voice, an institutional vision, let users see the world through their eyes. And they could also allow some crowdsourcing, so people could take photographs of themselves at University of Kansas or bring back their own memories to that place and put them there and submit those to the Kansas channel. And if the Kansas channel likes the picture, they could make it a part of the official Kansas University channel. So that it becomes a way for the institution to curate user-generated content, which is a really big aspect of social media today.
It almost seems like it could be by any city. I mean, a Visit Topeka would want something like that. That's getting rid of all kiosks and putting it right into your hand, right?
Absolutely. No, you could literally annotate the world with whatever information you want. And because the Membit technology, the way it works, it actually works in any location. So you don't have to put up a plaque. You don't have to have a poster, which is how most augmented reality works. And I don't know how familiar your listeners are going to be with augmented reality in general, but the state of the art in augmented reality these days is that it uses computer vision, and computer vision is very limiting. The computer vision has to have a flat image of sufficient complexity that doesn't have any shadows cast across it. It can't be wrinkled, and it has to have that kind of perfect image for it to lock onto. Well, what we're doing is we actually use a photograph, and we use the software between your ears, which is significantly better than any computer software currently. And we let the human actually move themselves to the right place to see that vantage point. And we're taking advantage of the fact that every photograph is also a record of a specific point of view in space. It's pretty easy and kind of fun, actually, for people to say, oh, okay, well, this picture was taken from over here. Okay, I'm going to move over here. They move to the right spot. They hit the button to say, I'm here. And that's when we can show the augmented content. The picture can appear, and it's precisely aligned with what they're seeing, which really makes a big difference. And because we're using that human software, it actually can be done anywhere at all. That's why we call it the Human Positioning System, or HPS. And that's the part that we actually have the patent on.
Jay, I was going to add, too, Tara mentioned Visit Topeka, but we'd recently had meetings with Downtown Topeka Incorporated, right? And
that's right.
For the upcoming event. And they're very excited about this because, they have just redeveloped downtown, and it's looking very nice. But they also want to share the history of downtown with the people to be there. So what better way to do that than to use Membit? And so we've been creating these photos of the old downtown landscape and creating those Membits so that you can see what downtown Topeka used to look like. So you're down there enjoying and viewing the updated vision. You can also see what it looked like, 20, 50, 100 years ago, which is pretty cool. And they really, Vince Fry at Downtown Topeka Incorporated, I know you know Vince, he thought it was great.
Oh, it sounds awesome. It sounds amazing. Okay, so, all right, for those viewers that are just tuning in and might be listening, and even the listeners, not necessarily viewers, but the listeners that are listening and just kind of heard that first section of how you explained it, besides the fact that my mind was like, what are you talking about? And then I kind of came full circle. I want to reintroduce you and get a chance for you to kind of repeat what you say. And then I have some questions for you that I'm curious about, some of the challenges of having an app, because this is pretty impressive and very, it's going to change the world type of stuff, right?
It's got that possibility.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So again, it's Jay Van Buren, and he's the co-founder and CEO of Membit. And I also have Rick LeJuerrne here with me with Flow Capital. And so, Jay, explain again, what is Membit?
All right, so it's an iPhone app, and it'll be Android later, but right now it's just for iPhone. And it lets you take a picture and place that picture in the world and leave it there. So you can take whether it's a photograph you're taking right now or a photograph that you took in the past. Maybe you have a picture of your grandma. You could take that picture back to the place where it happened. Actually, I do have a picture of my grandma that I'm dying to put back in the right spot. I haven't been able to do it yet, but it's a picture of her on her front porch. And I would take that picture to the front porch of her house, and using my phone, I can put that picture right there in that spot, and I can hit the button, and it freezes that picture in that spot. So then it stays there forever, and anybody that comes back to that porch using that app can look and through the phone, and they can see that picture just sitting right there, floating like a magic window into the past. And it's actually, we did one, not of the one on the porch, which is a great photo, but we did one of her in another location when my mom and I did it, and it was beautiful. My mom actually started crying a little bit when she saw it, because it was like she was back, and we were looking right there to see her. It was a really touching moment, and to me that's kind of the heart of what Membit's all about. It's really about letting people tell their own story. Everybody has a story to tell about a place. Everybody has memories that happened, something important happened to you in a certain location. And Membit lets you take that picture, take that image of what it was that happened that mattered to you, and put it in that spot so that you can share it with anybody else that comes to that spot.
That's fascinating. So now with this, with all the work you've done downtown, right now, or can somebody go downtown and start looking through their Membit app? They can. All they need to do is get the Membit app, and as of right this moment, in beta, but we're prioritizing people in Kansas right now to let you use it. This is one of the few chances where you can use something before the people in Silicon Valley get to use it. Did you hear that? So we can use it in Topeka before Silicon Valley. I'm excited to be able to share this with my hometown. So you can go to membit.co. And if you click on sign up on the main menu, first of all, go to Membit.co, and you can see our cool video that we have that shows you what Membit looks like. So it's a little bit hard to describe on the radio, but that can give you a chance to actually see it. And then you can sign up on the sign up form, and we will get you an invite. And we can get you an invite, and that will allow you to download the app before everyone else can, so you can try it out, and you can be one of our beta testers. Because that's what we're in beta right now, which is, and I don't know how that's a term which a lot of us in the technology area use, but I don't know how commonly understood it is. But basically, it means that this is software that is, it's brand new, hot off the presses. There might be some things that are broken. We are fixing all the bugs, and you get to be the first people to try it out before everybody else. That's incredible. That is so awesome. Okay, so I want to get a chance to kind of talk about some of the accolades you guys have had, all the top 20 apps that Rick was kind of going through. What has the tech world thought of this app? Well, so far we've had a lot of good press. We got Macworld said we were one of the top 20 apps at TechCrunch Disrupt, which is a big festival that they have out in San Francisco, and they were the closest thing they'd ever seen to a time machine, was their quote. We've been named one of the 9 apps of the future by another magazine, and I think it was 10 apps on the path of disruption. And there's a few other quotes you can see on our website. So we've been getting some attention, and definitely, the biggest thing I notice is just
whenever I go, I go a lot to sort of like New York, startup events, and whenever I kind of describe it to people when I get a chance to talk about it, I always get mobbed by people afterwards come and want to see it, and the people who see it, they always kind of freak out because they basically immediately get, just like you did, they kind of immediately think like, oh wait, well, I could use this with. They think about all the pictures that they have that they could go put in those places, and they think about all the history that exists in all the places that they visit, and then they think, oh wow, this really changes things.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really is incredible. Okay, so on the business side, what have been some of the key challenges and things that you're facing in app world? I mean, it's one thing to run a business, but you're not just running a business in the normal put a place down and then sell something. You've got to produce an app. You've got to get, I don't even know. I mean, I haven't ever done the app world. So what are the challenges you face?
Well, I mean, it is definitely challenging, and I got to say it's a lot harder than I thought it would be. I have a long history in the marketing and PR world here in New York, and my other company is earlyadopter.com. That's the design studio. I've been working on that for the last 15 years. But this whole startup app world is a whole other kettle of fish. One of the biggest challenges, of course, is that just finding people to work on the app is a challenge because pretty much, everybody that knows how to build apps already has a job, already has, their pick of jobs. And so finding somebody that's willing and able to work on it, isn't always easy. And I've been through a few different people over time, but I've got a guy right now who's working on it out in California who's doing a great job. So I'm finally kind of in a really good place with that. But I'd say, honestly, the single biggest challenge has been finding funding. And I think this is something that I hear from pretty much every startup founder that I talk to, that it's one thing to, get somebody who looks at an app and says, that's really cool, that's going to be a big deal. And it's another thing to actually get them to take a checkbook out and write you a check. So that's one of the things, actually, I'm really grateful to have Rick helping us on this because, he's a pro at figuring out what the distance is between, that's a cool idea, and that's a cool idea, I actually want to invest my money in.
I should put that on my business card.
Right.
That was very, very well said.
I like it a lot. Well, that's so what's been maybe some of the surprises on the opportunity and the fun side of it? I mean, has it been a good ride?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'm still absolutely excited about this. I mean, it's been a little slower to get to the point where we're at right now, where we're ready to go into the App Store, and it's been taking a little longer than I thought, but the response that I get is the thing that keeps me going. And if I ever have a bad day or get depressed, all I need to do is go out in the street and say, hey, do you want to see something cool? And show the app to some people, and just the response that I get from people when they see it always cheers me up and keeps me going. So that's definitely the thing that kind of like makes it all worth it, and also the fact that, I mean, at its core, Membit is about letting people tell their stories, and that's something that I can wholeheartedly believe in. That's not always true in the marketing world. I've done a lot of work for various companies where it was just, paying the bills, and, it wasn't necessarily something that I believed in with my whole heart. Membit really is something that I believe in with my whole heart, because this is something where we're building a tool, and that's what this company is about, building a tool that we're going to let everybody in the world tell their story about their places, the places that matter to them. And so that's kind of the the thing that makes it all worth it in the end.
Yeah, it's very incredible. Okay, so for last words on this, again, if you wouldn't mind going through and telling about how somebody can sign up right here in Topeka to beta test this and give it a shot and play with it a bit, where do they need to go?
Okay, so they need to go to membit.co, and if they look at the main menu, they're going to see sign up is one of the menu items. And actually, I don't know if there's a way. I don't know if there's a way to put a link on the page for the show, but maybe we could do that if there is one. Yeah. But let's see if we can figure that out. And then we can actually use a priority code for this. And I'm thinking, what should the priority code be? It could be the name of the show.
TK Live.
I like it.
TK Live?
TK Live.
Okay, so all right, so if you go to membit.co, click on sign up, and when you sign up on the sign up form, there's a place for priority code. Just put priority code TK Live, and we will make sure that we prioritize people who are listening to this broadcast over everybody else. So you'll get your chance to get into the beta.
Jay, Rick, thank you so much for sharing Membit with us as such a cool idea. And I look forward to going online to membit.co and registering there with TK Live.
Yeah.
All right.
And Jay,
fantastic.
I don't know. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I can't wait to see what all of your listeners are going to do with Membit, because I want to see the Membits that they create out there in the world.
That'd be awesome.
My name is Ken Daniel, and the name of my company is Midway Wholesale.
What is TIBA? TIBA is advice and support. TIBA is information and education. TIBA is a voice for small businesses.
You're going to meet other small business people. You're going to have an opportunity to adopt some of the things that they found to be successful, and you're going to make some lifelong friends.
The Topeka Independent Business Association is strong because of its members. Become a member today by visiting topekatiba.org.
Thanks so much for joining me on TK Business Live, and go check it out. Go to membit.co and sign up for the new app, be a beta tester, and make sure you put the priority code of TK Live in there so we can see who all signs up from listening to TK Live. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great week.
Thanks for joining Tara and her guests on TK Business Live. Join us again next Sunday at 11:30 to hear more from our community business leaders, entrepreneurs, and people making a difference in the landscape of how business is progressively moving forward in Topeka. TK Business Live is brought to you by the members of the Topeka Independent Business Association.